In this virtual day trip, we're focusing on two wonderful boroughs in Surrey.
Join us as we discover more about places to visit in Elmbridge and Spelthorne.
Hearing fascinating stories from people who live, work and volunteer here.
We'll embrace moments to pause and reflect.
And allow space for creativity along the way.
In this episode, we visit the stunning Sunbury Embroidery Gallery.
With its walled garden and magnificent planting.
We'll cross the majestic River Thames to discover all the fantastic things that happen at the Riverhouse Barn Arts Centre.
Finally, we'll head out to explore the stunning landscape of Esher Commons. Welcome to your virtual day trip. I'm Luna, and along with Annalise, we'll journey through the breathtaking boroughs of Spelthorne and Elmbridge.
Our first stop is Sunbury Embroidery Gallery, where we'll uncover the wonders of this incredible venue.
The gallery and garden has parking, and the bus stop is just a short walk away.
Entering the garden, you'll see that Spelthorne Borough Council and volunteers beautifully maintain it all year round.
Lendy Lyon would have something to say if they didn't.
In the corner of the walled garden is the Sunbury Gallery, home of the Sunbury Millennium Embroidery. It's free to visit and open from Tuesday to Sunday.
The Sunbury Millennium Embroidery, inspired by David Brown and designed by John Stamp, commemorates the village and its community. Completed in the year 2000, it includes a main village panel, 8 side panels depicting village life, and over 120 tent-stitch emblems from local organisations.
Chief embroiderer Pam Judd supported over 140 local embroiderers, including many new stitchers. Collectively, they dedicated more than 100,000 hours to the impressive embroidery project.
Let's meet Mashiko to discover more about the gallery.
So we have 2 sides in the gallery. So we have the permanent exhibition, which is this large embroidery created by the residents, and it really showcases Sunbury, the wildlife, the buildings, but also all the different kind of stitches you can do with embroidery. And on the other side, we have a rotating exhibition. So we change them about every 8 weeks. And we have a program of various artists. So it can be paintings, it can be textile, but also ceramics, woodwork, just a whole variety.
The standard of work in the gallery is exceptional. Not just in the detail of the permanent embroidery exhibition, which you could lose yourself for hours and see something different every time you visit, but also in the changing programme of exhibitions.
We're here during an exhibition by Lucy T. Smith, a botanical artist affiliated with the Royal Botanic Gardens, Kew. Her detailed and meticulous artwork appears in scientific journals and personalised commissions, such as a 90th birthday gift for the Sir David Attenborough.
National and international artists exhibit here throughout the year, inspiring visitors.
There's also a full workshop programme where you can come and learn new creative skills such as calligraphy, knitting, willow sculpture, drawing, painting and of course embroidery.
You can also enjoy some tasty treats whilst you take part, or why not just pop in for lunch or a coffee?
So we're really lucky to have an amazing cafe here. A lot of volunteers are involved with the cafe. Everything is cooked and baked on the premises. So we have a lot of regular customers. And we also work in partnership with Surplus to Supper, which is when supermarkets have things that are not sold, we get to have it, and then we have volunteers again who transform it into a very gourmet, food like quiche or amazing cakes. So we're very lucky to have again the community involved, helping with the cafe. The gallery is fully accessible, and we're fully wheelchair accessible. There are no steps anywhere. And we do have these molds which represent the embroidery. So if you're visually impaired, you can touch these and it'll give you a sense of what the embroidery is, and is written in Braille. So we have really exciting plans for the future because we acquired a collection of embroidery called the Diana Springle collection. It's a collection of about 270 pieces of embroidery, but it's looking at embroidery as a fine art. So it's like painting, but painting with threads. So we're very lucky that it will come here. And we're really wanting to promote the fact that embroidery can be used. If you're an artist, you can use embroidery and you can paint using threads. And that's why this collection was really put together, is really to promote the contemporary art of embroidery.
There are many exciting things ahead.
Definitely, and it's a collaborative effort. The gallery thrives thanks to a team of dedicated volunteers.
Let's meet some of them.
My name's Anne, and I've been volunteering in the gallery for about 2 years. I got involved here not because initially I was attracted to the embroidery itself. I started off with cake because I do really wonderful cake here, and the gardens are beautiful and it was a nice place. And then because I believe in shop local, it's the same thing. If you have something in your community you value, you should give back to it. So I started volunteering in here, and I'm so glad I did, because the more time I spend in here, the more I see in the embroidery itself. And because it's such a remarkable thing for the community, it was started in the mid-1990s, and people recorded the houses, the churches, pubs, the activities which meant something to them. There's lots of portraits of members of the community here, and so there are just layers and layers to it. There's the history, there's the artistry, the panel about the swan upping, which I used to think was kind of dull, you know, frankly. I mean, it's just sort of all pale blues and things. And then you look at it in greater detail, and it's like a French Impressionist painting. It's entirely created, almost entirely created from horizontal stitches. And then you look at it, and you see the broken reflection on the water of the boat as it goes by. And then it turns out the boat was built at Turk's Boatyard in the village itself. And so it's amazing, and it's lovely to be here because you meet interesting people, and again because it's something which was about the community. You have people coming in and they might say, point at Turk's Boatyard, and they say, oh, you know, I did my apprenticeship there. And you've got people coming in saying, I worked on it, or my mother worked on it. And so it has a real importance to people locally. And then, of course, we've got the changing exhibitions of contemporary works on the other side. So there's always something to refresh. But I just find it incredibly inspirational. And also the way it's done. Again, if you go back to the idea of stitching almost as artwork, there's people playing bowls up there. And if you look at them initially, they're just in white. If you look closely, in the same way that an artist sketches and their line tells you the curve, in the bowlers, you can see from the stitching how the woman's bent forward. And it's a really amazing piece. And then we've also got permanently on display people we call the beaders. They are in on Tuesdays, and they make wonderful things which we sell for the gallery, because of course the gallery needs to be maintained, and we have our very ambitious expansion scheme going as well.
Thanks, Anne. It's great that you and the other volunteers are on hand when visitors have questions.
Another volunteer is Wendy, one of the embroiderers for the Millennium piece.
So we were all given a piece of calico with the design printed on. And if you wanted help, it was available with Pam Judd, who was the chief embroiderer, but other than you did it at home. And because there wasn't a class, we've all done that. The windows are all different if you look at them. It's not as if we've all copied or anything. And the houses are all in the right order, going down the road and back again. And we've turned them all to the front so you can see the front of the house. The river was actually done in place on the fabric. It's duck fabric, which is very, very thick. And to get through the 6 threads of embroidery through, you had to use pliers to get it through because it was very thick. The eclipse is on there as well because we're working on the day of the eclipse, so that's at the top. Well, I did the Three Fishes pub and I did the Concorde because I was lucky enough to fly on Concorde. So on the Three Fishes I've done wool for the roof because it was all multicoloured, tan and cream and brown. That worked out okay. And the calico's cream, but the Three Fishes is white, so I put white muslin over to get the colour right. Albert Skinner, who was from the post office, they wanted to embroider his trousers and they couldn't find the right pattern, so they used a picture of King George's trousers and they copied that. And it was originally going to hang in the church, but it would be too high up and you wouldn't see the stitches which you need to see the detail. So then they decided to build this lovely building. The Queen came, and she was very, very good. And we always said, no hats, and you don't have to curtsy. So that was quite good. And she stayed half an hour longer than she wanted to because she was, really impressed with it all. She loved it.
It's lovely to meet one of the original embroiderers, who is also part of the beading group, raising funds for the gallery.
Now, it's over to Sandra, a fairly new volunteer.
Yeah, I've been volunteering for 4 months. I saw an advert in the local Sunbury Matters magazine and answered that. So it's a really nice place to be. It's a nice group of people. And for myself, I had been made redundant in the summer of 22, and after 22 years with a corporate company, and then last year, unfortunately, I had 2 major bereavements. So I was actually looking for something to bring me back into the workplace and build my confidence, really, and to meet people. And that has done that. It's been really nice. I am a stitcher. I do embroidery, but more sort of patchwork and quilting. And I belong to the local quilters group, so I enjoy that, but I also enjoy meeting people, and every day is different because you never know who's going to visit, and it's nice to see who comes in and have a chat. It doesn't matter, any time you come in, I'm always noticing something different because you've got these lots of lovely little animals and insects and you sort of think, oh, I've never seen that before, and then you notice the little water rat or a little bird it's all lovely, really nice. In the summer in the gardens they have music on a Sunday afternoon. I've really enjoyed that. But generally just to walk round and, there's so many beautiful roses out there and, it's lovely. And the cafe is really great. Everyone's really lovely and it has opened up a whole new sort of line of friendships for me, and I have, started meeting people outside of the gallery, which is exactly what I wanted out of it as well as volunteering and helping the gallery and promote itself. So
volunteering offers a fantastic opportunity to engage with your local community and meet new friends.
Plus, it has been pointed out, delicious cakes and tea are available.
However, before settling in at the cafe, let's meet some people who can share their knowledge about the garden and Sunbury Park, which is just beyond the wall.
My name is John Maxon, and I'm the chairman of the Friends of Sunbury Park, an organisation that was set up in around 2002 in order to help implement a biodiversity plan and management plan that had been written by Spelthorne Borough Council and Surrey Wildlife Trust. I've been a member of the group since 2017 and I became chairman in 2018. The Friends are an informal group that meet on a quarterly basis for meetings to decide what activities that we're able to do in the park, what management. We work in conjunction with the Borough Biodiversity Officer, who is also very helpful in suggesting opportunities and the things that we can do. But to be honest, the park is the park. It's been here for over 1,000 years. And so what our prime task is to improve the biodiversity, bringing the nature of the park to the residents and visitors from Lower Sunbury and further afield, and just to make them aware of how important the park is to the area, both from a natural basis and a historical basis. There's been human habitation here since around 900. There's been artefacts dug up from around the area that in various local museums, and I think there's one in the Museum of London as well. The area became part of royal hunting grounds in the medieval time, part of the big area that became known as Kempton Park, which is the racecourse is up the road. This is basically what remains of that royal hunting lodge that belonged to King Henry VIII. The first major, development of the site was carried out by Roger Hudson, who built a house here in 1712 and developed, he bought up several parcels of land in the area to create Sunbury Park. But then over the centuries it's changed hands. The last major owners of the house was the Arden family, and their descendants resulted in it being rented out, but in the early part of the century it fell into disuse. It was used in the Second World War by a heavy rescue brigade, but then after the Second World War it was in such a bad state of disrepair that the old house was finally demolished in 1954. The park then latterly came into the hands of Spelthorne Borough Council, who developed it as a public amenity. As part of the 2008-2012 management and biodiversity plan for the park, it was suggested that the cows be brought into the park in order to help increase biodiversity and also to reduce the need for mechanical mowing on the what is a fairly undulating piece of ground in the park, and the cows do a great job for the park. The very fact that the way they eat creates open areas for plants to colonise. Their poo helps to increase insect biodiversity that goes all the way up to the major food chains. So birds, bats that we see in the park these days can all be seen feeding on the insects that emerge from the cow poo. The Friends over the past couple of years have published 5 booklets all about the nature of Sunbury Park. The birds, the trees, the butterflies, the wildflowers and grasses, and most recently the fungi and lichens of Sunbury Park. These are all very family-friendly guides available from the Embroidery Gallery that really give visitors an excellent idea as to whatever time of year they're visiting, an idea of the nature that they can see just with a little bit of effort.
Thank you, John. It's great to hear about Sunbury Park's history and your dedication to preserving it for future generations.
And we can't overlook the cows. They're doing a fantastic job out there.
But there are no cows in the walled garden, right?
Absolutely not. However, there are some stunning trees to enjoy. I know the perfect person to tell us more about them.
My name is Philip Cribb. I'm a botanist and I've worked at Kew for over 50 years. I'm now retired, of course, but I've lived in this area since the 1960s. And so I've always been interested in what's local, because as I say, conservation starts at home, and this is my home. So I joined the Friends of Sunbury Park not long after it started. If you'd have been in this walled garden in the 1970s, you'd have been walking through weeds as high as your head. And in 1985, the council asked Pat Stancliffe, who was then the Park Department manager, to design this as a walled garden with rose beds and his favourite trees and shrubs. And he indeed did that. So the main planting was made in 85, and it's been slightly developed ever since. For example, all the roses here were replaced last year, and they look magnificent, as you can see today. I suppose this garden really is an epitome of gardening in Britain. Britain has a very depauperate flora compared to the continent because of the formation of the Channel about 5,000 years ago. but its climate actually is much better for plants than that. And so any plant introduced into the country, for example, giant knotweed, goes rampant. And gardeners have taken advantage of that and bought plants from all over the world here. And in this garden you actually have trees and shrubs from as far away as New Zealand and Australia, Chile, China and the Mediterranean and North America. And so as you walk round, if you know what you're looking at, you can really walk through the temperate areas of the world. So for example, we have here from China the maidenhair tree, which is a living fossil. It's the only species of its, not only its genus and family, but of its whole kingdom here. It's a maidenhair tree. And if you looked at the fossil beds under London, London clay, you will find fossil ginkgo or maidenhair tree leaves, and they are almost identical with this. It survived only as a tree in China, and it survived because it's useful for Chinese medicine, and it's also a very, very tough beast because it will survive the worst pollution in cities like Tokyo, where it's widely planted. Then you have here, for example, cordyline from New Zealand and sophora from New Zealand. And they have temperate climates, and their trees will grow here and grow very successfully. The cordyline in the corner of the garden are something like 35 foot tall and flower regularly. And there is a tremendous variety of Chinese material here and North American. Those are the two big areas for temperate trees and shrubs. So for example, we have magnolias. We have both Chinese magnolias. The ones you grow in your garden are hybrids of Chinese magnolias, but the ones that are evergreen that you see generally in stately homes here, and there's one here, that is North American. And that has really magnificent, large, creamy white flowers. You'll find flowers on it throughout the season, whereas the Chinese species are spring flowering. So as you walk around the garden, you'll see the tremendous diversity of trees. You'll find behind me here is the strawberry tree, which is a native of Western Ireland and the Atlantic coast of Europe. Here it thrives. Here actually we've got two species. We've also got the Turkish strawberry tree, which is distinguished from the Irish one in having orange bark. But they both, at this time of the year, they're very interesting. They have both the fruits, which look like hanging strawberries, and they also have the flowers coming out. And the flowers are little bell-shaped flowers, and they're in the Ericaceae family, and they're related to cranberries and bilberries. So all in all, this garden is a wonderful display of beautiful trees. And Pat Stancliffe had a very good eye. So for example, you'll find one of my favourite trees here, which is the paperbark maple. And that is Chinese. It was first discovered in the late 19th century by Augustine Henry and introduced into Britain by Ernest Wilson, who was collecting for the Veitch Nursery in Kingston, which is not far from here. There are two specimens here. They have the most beautiful orange peeling bark, and you can see it at its best in winter. And that's the great thing about this garden. You come at any season, you're in the spring full of flowers, and through the summer as well, the fruits start to appear, and then in the autumn you get the wonderful colours. And one of my favourite trees here is the beautiful silver birch from the Himalayas called Betula jacomontii. It has pure white, stunning bark. In the autumn, the leaves turn golden. It is just a wonderful tree. And I think that every time you come here, you see something different. And that really is exciting.
I may trip up a bit on some of the tree names, but I really appreciate them being here.
As Philip mentioned, this garden is a lovely place to explore. The colours change beautifully throughout the year and different flowers are always blooming.
Plus, these benches are the perfect spot to take in views and listen to the cheerful birds around us.
Someone else who is inspired by this beautiful garden is Celia, our next guest. who will teach us a few gentle moves that we can all do, whether sitting or standing. Let's say hello.
My name is Celia, and I have a background as an acrobat and physical theatre. And about 10 years ago, I discovered Tai Chi and Qigong, and I got hooked. I became an instructor a few years ago. At the moment, I'm just teaching an advanced group. They've been with me for 2 or 3 years. And I also teach in Staines in the park on Saturdays. So today we're going to do just a very simple set following the 5 elemental movements that they call, which is the cycle of transformation of Qi that occurs in nature and also occurs in our bodies. And they are very simple moves, one for each element. And you can do them sitting down or standing up. And I will explain a little bit how they link to the different organs in the body. So first I stand, closing my eyes, tip of the tongue resting on the upper palate, behind the teeth, and just breathe naturally, paying attention to the breath. The first elemental phase is wood. Wood corresponds to the spring. It's expansive energy, rising energy. And first we're going to place our hands just in front of the lower dantian, which is an area in the lower abdomen where we store qi, where we store vital energy. And after a while of just forming this electromagnetic field between the palms of my hands, I'm just going to turn one hand in front of the other, just one hand below the diaphragm, and turn again. And then my fingers are going to point to each other and rise. So with one hand I'm pointing, rooting myself into the earth, like the roots of the tree. And with the other hand, I point my fingers up to the heavens. It would be the growing energy of the tree upwards towards the sky, towards the sun. And I come back. And change. Very simple. And then we just come back. And if you feel that you have feelings of frustration and anger rising up, you just push it down with a sound shh. And we prepare to the next elemental movement, which is fire, corresponding to summer. And that rules the heart. So we breathe in, breathe out, forming this lotus mudra. Push, breathing in, expanding the heart. Turn your hands. Coming back. Breathing in, expanding. Breathing out. After summer comes the Indian summer, the earth element. So we push diagonally and bring it in, back to the center. earth, spleen, stomach, and we go to metal element, the element of the autumn, corresponding to the lungs and the large intestine. So we're going to breathe in, expanding from the back, hovering, breathe out. The metal element is expressed through the skin, the first barrier of protection for the body. And it corresponds to the emotions of courage and integrity, and when out of balance, to grief. So what we can do is do the sound to balance the organ. And we go to the winter, the water element. Water rules the kidneys and the bladder. And we've got this beautiful move of the bear, great bear swimming. So we start breathing in, breathing out, and swimming. So chaw is the sound for the kidneys. Kidneys relates to fear. But also to wisdom. So we want to nourish the kidneys. And those are the 5 elemental phases. When we finish the practice, we just listen for a couple of minutes in what is called Wuchi, the empty stance, emptiness, clearing your mind, listening to your body, breathing in, closing everything, integrating the whole practice down to the earth. One more time.
Thank you, Celia. We're feeling really grounded after those gentle moves.
I'm ready to visit the cafe.
While we're waiting for our order, I've got something to share with you.
A cake?
That'll be here in a minute. But for now, I want to show you the free Bloomberg Philanthropies app to discover amazing cultural spots, including the Sunbury Embroidery Gallery. It offers an interactive gallery and walled garden map, so you can easily click for more details.
Perfect if Philip isn't around and you want to know the name of a plant.
Plus, you can enjoy a guided walk around Sunbury-on-Thames, where you'll learn about the beautiful locations featured in the Millennium Embroidery.
What a brilliant app. I'm going to savour that as well as this cuppa. It's a perfect way to end our time in Sunbury-on-Thames.
Our next adventure takes us across the river to the lovely Walton-on-Thames.
On summer weekends, you can enjoy a delightful ride on the Sunbury ferry to cross the water.
It's a fantastic service run by volunteers, adding a charming touch to your day out. And you can even relax on a bench with a view while waiting to board.
But today, we're opting for a 10-minute drive over the bridge to visit the Riverhouse Barn Arts Centre in the borough of Elmbridge.
Plus, the same bus that stops at Sunbury-on-Thames also makes its way to Walton-on-Thames.
We're heading straight upstairs to the gallery to meet Trafina.
There's a lift up here too.
My name is Trafina Russell. I am the Education Manager here at Riverhouse Barn, and I also manage the Robert Phillips Gallery. So I started out as a volunteer actually. I came here and loved it. I used to bring my children here. So once they were school age, I came and volunteered, and I've stayed ever since. We are accessible directly from the Thames path, either before the Swan pub or just after the Swan. There's a little turn off, goes through a very pretty park, which is the grounds of Sullivan's house. Literally just a minute walk from up the river. You can come through our car park. We have parking here, free parking, and then you can enter through our courtyard outside cafe space, and then you can access everything, the studio, the inside cafe space, and actually, you know, a lot of times people just come for a coffee or a tea and just relax. You know, you don't just have to come for an event. You can just come and enjoy the cafe. The Robert Phillips Gallery is called the Robert Phillips Gallery because there was a Surrey councillor in the 19th century who left an amount he bequeathed in a trust to support local artists. So we were funded from that trust, and so we support local artists. That's what we do. Well, actually, this is one of our more special exhibitions. It's a collaboration with the Elmbridge Borough Council and a trust called the RC Sheriff Trust with Riverhouse. And every 2 years, we send out a call to anybody living or working in Elmbridge. They can submit a piece of work to be considered for this exhibition. It's called Elmbridge Moving Art because traditionally, when it first started in 2017, it moved from this gallery to 2 other places. This exhibition will move on, but this is the main venue for it, and it's a celebration of art in Elmbridge, really. Like I said, that's what we do. We support local artists. This is an opportunity for established and new artists to get their work shown in a gallery space. So it's a great exhibition. It's really nice. I love doing it. I love being part of it. We have a very strong sense of supporting the local community, but we also get support from the community in return. We would not be able to run this place without our team of volunteers. They're absolutely fantastic. I have regular volunteers who help with the hang days, for example. Every time we change over the exhibition, I have volunteers to help with that. And they sit in the gallery, they invigilate for us, they chat to people, they find out about the exhibition, they do their research, and yeah, we would be lost without them. We love them. Of course, that extends to the rest of the building as well. We have volunteers in the kitchen and the cafe, and volunteers who help out at events in the barn. We're really appreciative of what they give us. We also run a range of classes and workshops for adults and children. We have a bespoke studio space called the Toshiba Studio over in the courtyard, and we also use the barn for drama classes. We run them for children and adults. We have drawing classes, painting, oil painting, life drawing, watercolour, mixed media, wood carving, enamelling. Yes, so we had this generous donation from the Art Society Walton, which meant we could run a free class for children on a Saturday morning, an arts class, which was great. We get a lot of support from the RC Sheriff Trust as well. They do a sing-along here, and they invite local residents of homes nearby to come along, and then of course if they want to, they can come up and see the gallery and have something to eat here as well, so they have a whole day. Our classical music programme is very strong. We get big names in comedy as well. We have a relationship with Off the Curb Productions, and we have a very strong following from the comedy audience here. And we have a big folk programme, monthly folk programme, a monthly jazz programme. We have theatre for children and for adults. I mean, we also are open for events. I mean, we can host weddings and parties here. We cover a lot of ground, actually, when I think about it. We're a busy little place. There's always something on.
Thank you so much, Trafina. It's wonderful how you create a space for everyone here.
I absolutely love the diverse artwork and how so many talented local artists get to share their creations throughout the year.
There's an exciting mix of exhibitions and a packed calendar of events.
And what's more, another fantastic cafe gets ingredients from the charity Surplus to Supper. Sarah will tell us all about it while we enjoy more tea.
I'm Sarah, and I run the cafe at the Riverhouse Barn. We're open 7 days a week. We're open from 10 till 4. We run as a community in the cafe, so you know there's lots of different people. There's probably about 20-25 people involved running it for the week. We are a surplus cafe, so we pick up from another organisation which is a charity in Sunbury, and they pick up from absolutely everywhere, every supermarket, places that have events like Twickenham Stadium, local bakers, and I pick up from there 3 times a week, and I don't know what I'm getting. I just rock up on 8:30 in the morning and it is what it is. Fundamentally it means that you never really know what's going to be on the menu. There's always a soup, there's always cake. We try and make cake out of the fruit that we get. I'm making a parsnip and maple syrup cake at the moment. We try and use fruit and vegetables for our cakes as well, and all our cakes are homemade. And we also do some events which we cater, so I try and cater using surplus. We're using stuff that otherwise would get thrown away, and I have no idea why half of it comes our way.
It's truly inspiring how Sarah and her team craft a complete menu of delicious meals and cakes from ingredients sourced through surplus to supper, ingredients that would have otherwise gone to waste.
Their excellent food encourages everyone to get creative in the kitchen and explore new dishes.
Places like this need volunteers, and with delicious smells coming from the kitchen, I can see why you'd want to spend your free time here helping, just like Rachel does.
The volunteers work 3 hours slots. So I work on a Wednesday morning and on a Friday afternoon. So we have regulars some days, you know, so when I come in I know who I'm going to see. Not just the people I work with, but some of our customers as well. So we get to have a laugh with them. And everyone who works here is a really, really good fun. Also, obviously there's perks to it because I get to have some lovely food, and I also end up going home with stuff which might get left over, so it's a win-win for me.
Thanks so much, Rachel. I really hope you get to savour a slice of that delicious parsnip and maple syrup cake that Sarah was making whilst we dive into our creative activities.
Let's take a moment to pause and reflect on the beautiful places we explored today by colouring in our postcards. You will need the postcard printout, colouring pencils or pens, a pair of scissors and a glue stick. Colouring isn't just for children, it's a wonderful relaxing activity that people of all ages can enjoy. Once you've finished colouring, simply cut out the postcard, stick it together and write a note to a friend. Why not invite them to join you on a visit to some of the lovely places we discovered, or tell them about your favourite places? Don't forget to pop a stamp on before you post it. So let's grab our pens and pencils and bring our adventure to life on paper. As we wrap up our virtual day trip, let's take a moment to enjoy some fresh air.
Elmbridge also has 20 countryside sites managed by the Borough Council. Let's end our day at Esher Commons, the largest in the borough, which offers easy parking and links to public transport.
Spanning over 360 hectares, Esher Commons is recognised as a site of special scientific interest thanks to its rich diversity of wildlife.
This expansive area serves as an ideal destination for outdoor activities. Whether you enjoy walking, biking or horse riding, you'll find an extensive network of paths to explore and enjoy the natural beauty surrounding you.
The area's geology is intriguing, showcasing the unique acidic soils of the Bagshot and Claygate beds. Its diverse habitats, lowland heath, grassland, woodland and wetlands support a rich variety of plant and animal species.
Perched above the River Mole, the ancient woodlands burst into life each spring with colourful wildflowers such as bluebells and wild garlic.
A system of ponds and ditches enhances the wetland area, drawing in dragonflies, damselflies and many other aquatic creatures.
Within these woodlands, diverse wildlife flourishes, featuring majestic oak, birch and Scots pine trees.
The rich avian life at Arbrook Common includes species like woodpeckers, goldcrests, jays and even raptors, presenting a stunning display of nature's splendour.
In the autumn, over 3,000 fungal species flourish. South-facing slopes such as Oxshott Heath soak up the summer sun, creating ideal habitats for insects and reptiles like lizards and grass snakes that bask in the sunlight and seek refuge in dense cover.
And now it's time to say goodbye.
We've had an amazing day discovering exciting places
and learning from incredible people.
We hope you've enjoyed your virtual day trip as much as we have. See you soon!
This virtual day trip was created by Whistlestop Arts.
And it was funded by Arts Partnership Surrey.
Thank you to everyone who has supported this project.
For more resources and information about the work that we are involved in, please visit whistlestoparts.org.